Okay, so I've put together a presentation here about the month of July for Durham Region real estate market. So what I'm going to be doing is kind of giving more in-depth information on what I'm seeing daily, what these numbers mean, comparing it to June as well as last July. So like a year over year and a month over month comparison, and also go into depth of what does this mean for buyers and what does this mean for sellers, and kind of what we're seeing a little bit in this transitional market. Okay. So first, we're going to start with the overview of July of 2025. Okay. So four main points here are going to be the balanced market with moderate inventory, slight dip in home prices, interest rates held steady, and buyer competition remains strong. So for the first one, balanced market with moderate inventory. So the Durham Region housing market in July shows a healthy balance between supply and demand. Inventory levels, while still not abundant, are providing more choices for buyers compared to the peak frenzies of previous years. So again, we are sitting at a healthy amount of inventory, more than what we're used to over the years. But there's more choice for buyers, and there's more, the difference I think would be is that there's quality. Buyers are really looking at the homes that show well and present well versus when the market was, very high in demand and low inventory. They were buying anything that they could get their hands on. Okay. So slight dips in home prices. So we've observed a moderate adjustment in home prices this month. The slight drop could offer strategic entry point for prospective buyers who have been waiting for more favorable conditions. So over the last few months, we've definitely seen home prices start to come down, which I think has kind of given the confidence to the buyers to get back out there and start looking again. There's a lot of people that were on the sidelines wanting to see if the prices were going to come down. And now that they are, we're starting to see a little bit more demand and more activity on listings. Interest rates held steady. So the Bank of Canada decision to maintain the current interest rates for the third consecutive time brings a welcome period of stability, allowing buyers and sellers to plan with greater certainty. And buyer competition remains strong. So despite slight price adjustments, demand for home prices in Durham Region continues to be robust. Well-priced properties in desirable locations are still attracting considerable interest and competition among buyers. So because Durham is so large and there's different pockets and segments of Durham Region, the more desirable locations seem to be getting the most attention. Okay. So again, because there is a lot of inventory out there and there's more properties coming to the market every day, the more desirable locations, whether they're close to, schools, the walk score is good, amenities around it, they're getting most of the attention. Okay. So current inventory and buyer competition. So the real estate landscape in Durham Region continues to be shaped by inventory levels. Currently, inventory remains low to moderate, kind of more on the, balance to higher end, I would say, meaning that there isn't an overwhelming flood of homes on the market. Buyers do have some choices. So yes, we are down inventory comparing it to 2 months ago, but there's also a lot of inventory that has been sitting for an extended period of time, which buyers are starting to see that. Okay, a notable trend this month is the drop in new listings month over month. So we did come down from June, the amount of inventory. This reduction as fresh supply contributes to sustained demand we're seeing. And despite slight increase in available homes, buyer demand still outpaces supply in many desirable segments, particularly for single-family detached homes and well-maintained townhomes. So again, we're starting to see more first-time home buyers enter the market or want to enter the market. As properties come on and we see the days on market continue to climb, the properties that are priced well and show well are getting the attention. The houses that aren't properly prepared and aren't taking the time to do the minor fixes are not getting the attention that they're probably looking for. Okay, so this is an opportunity for sellers to stand out. Whether it's fewer new listings, your property has a better chance of capturing attention. And buyers still may face competition, but it is less than in the peak season. So this is kind of a chart here that shows the median prices, comparing it to June as well as July of 2024. So the median sale price in Durham Region for July of 2025 stands at $885,000. This represents a 0.4 drop from June and a 3.3 decrease when compared to July of 2024. This slight adjustment hints at a more stable, less volatile market. Easy for me to say. Prices slightly adjusted, so improved affordability for buyers. This can be a positive sign for those looking to enter the market or upgrade, as it eases some of the previous pricing pressures. And sellers, market expectations must be realistic. While prices remain strong, properties are no longer guaranteed to sell significantly above asking price. Strategic pricing reflecting current market conditions is essential for a successful sale. So that's the biggest one, right? Because there's a lot of people that do want to move, that are looking to either downsize, upsize, potentially leave Durham Region. But if your price is off, by $50,000 or $100,000 based on comparable sales in the area, you're not going to get showings. You're not even going to get an offer. You're not going to get activity. You're not going to get any sort of traction on those properties because the sale data is available to the public, but buyers are also very conscious of other listings that they're going to see that are priced correctly. They may see the exact comparable home to yours, and if you're off by $100,000 or $50,000, you're just not going to get any attention. So as a seller right now in this market, you need to be priced correctly. That is like number one. So average days on market. So in July of 2025, the average days on market for homes in Durham Region was 25.2 days. This figure is slightly up from June, suggesting that properties are taking a little longer to secure a sale. However, it's important to note that this is still lower than many other Greater Toronto areas, indicating Durham continued appeal. So again, Durham seems to be that little kind of hot pocket where people are, if they are leaving the city, they are coming to Durham Region, which is kind of, again, driving that demand up higher and higher. Homes are still taking longer to sell, so strategy matters. So for sellers, this means that patience and a well thought out marketing strategy are more crucial than ever. Focusing on presentation, accurate pricing, and broad exposure can significantly impact your days on market. For buyers, it might mean a little bit more breathing room to make an informed decision without feeling rushed into bidding wars. So again, going back, because homes are taking a little bit longer to sell and more inventory seems to be coming out daily, you need to be priced correctly, but you also need to be properly exposed on the market. So getting in front of people online, right, through social media, target marketing. If your agent is not doing that, it is hurting your sale. Okay. For buyers, again, you have the ability to go see 5-6 homes in a night, go home, sleep on it, maybe circle back a couple days later if it's still available, and then make a decision on whether you're going to submit an offer. Sale to list price ratio. Okay, so right now, on average, listings are selling for 98.7% of asking price. So if you see 100%, that means buyers are agreeing that, hey, your house is priced correctly, and I feel that the value is there. But because, again, the amount of inventory we're seeing and there is negotiating room for a buyer right now, on average, the homes are selling for about 98.7% of their asking price. And that's not every house. Some houses are selling for 85% of asking price. And again, those are typically the homes that are overpriced by $100,000 and settling at a number that is $150,000 under what their current asking price is. But there also are homes that are selling for 100% of asking price, right? And they're usually a shorter time on the market. So that means that essentially the home was priced correctly, it was presented correctly, a buyer walked in and said, there's no work I really have to do here, or if there is work, I'm okay doing it. I don't want anybody else to come in and scoop this property over me, so I'm just going to give you what you're asking, okay? So sales activity. So analyzing sales activity provides a key insight to the momentum of the Durham Region real estate market. In July of 2025, daily transactions averaged about 26.6 properties per day. So again, on average, there's about 26 homes selling a day. Okay. Compared to the previous month, sales were down 2.7% month over month. indicating a slight cooling from June's pace. However, looking at the bigger picture, sales are actually up 6.2% year over year compared to July of 2024. So, we are down in price from a month over month basis, but we're seeing more activity, right? The amount of homes selling year over year is actually up, which is very interesting. This year over year increase is a strong indicator of sustained demand and a healthy recovery from last year's more subdued period. Interest rates and affordability. So a significant factor influencing the current real estate market is the Bank of Canada's decision to hold the key interest rate at 2.7% for a third consecutive time. This stability, combined with a slightly lower home prices we observed in July, directly translate to a better affordability for prospective buyers. The reduced cost of borrowing, coupled with modest price adjustments, can significantly impact monthly mortgage payments, making home ownership more attainable for a wider range of buyers in the Durham region. So again, window of opportunity for budget conscious buyers. So if you are a buyer and you're kind of looking at the numbers and saying, this is a comfortable monthly mortgage payment that I can make, as prices start to come down and buyers see that, that's when you start to see, okay, these buyers are starting to get comfortable. The prices are kind of coming at a number that they are, okay paying with versus, looking at it when it was crazy. But because the prices are starting to come down slightly, we're starting to see more people, peak interest because of that and want to start shopping and getting out there and going in and out of properties and then submitting offers. So what does this mean for buyers right now? So for buyers in Durham Region, July 2025 presents a unique set of advantages. So there's three I really want to highlight here. So stable interest rates, slight price drops, more negotiating room, and still competitive in popular areas. So again, circling back to the Bank of Canada, because with the Bank of Canada holding rates as steady, you can plan your budget with greater confidence, knowing your borrowing costs are stable. This reduces financial uncertainty and allows for more precise mortgage pre-approvals. Price drops, so the modest dip in the median home prices offer a slight reprieve from the intense bidding wars of previous months. So going back to January, February, March of this year, 2025, we saw tons of multiple offers, and that's pretty consistent because the amount of inventory is quite low, and people want to kind of get out there early and beat the competition. But historically, that kind of works against them because there's not enough choice for buyers who are really active and want to get out there and start that home buying process earlier in the year. So as we get further into the year, more inventory comes out, buyers are spread out, they have more choice, and that's why you start to see the multiple offers kind of separate on each property. And still competitive in popular areas. So while the market has cooled slightly, highly sought after neighborhoods and well-maintained properties will still attract significant interest. Be prepared to act decisively with pre-approval financing when you find your ideal home in those areas. So again, Durham Region is quite large. It's very segmented and has pockets that are a little bit more high demand. So those homes typically are getting the most attention, right? High school ratings, walk scores, amenities, like I said before. The ones in the less desirable areas are taking a little bit longer. But at the same time, if you are checking off those boxes, so price, presentation, and the type of property you have that you're selling, buyers are still actively looking for them, but they're just willing to take a little bit more time to find it or wait for it to come to the market. Okay. And lastly, what does this mean for sellers? So for sellers in Durham Region in July, market requires a strategic approach to ensure a successful sale. So three things I want to highlight. Strategic pricing is key. Presentation matters more than ever, and still solid buyer interest. So strategic pricing is key. So the days of automatic multiple offers significantly above asking price are less common. Pricing your home competitively and realistically from day one based on recent comparable sales is crucial to attract serious buyers and avoid your property sitting on the market. So I think we can all understand that, again, like I said before, if your house isn't priced correctly and you're not competitive with other homes that you're competing with, it will sit on the market. Buyers are not willing to take the time out of their day or their evening to go see overpriced listings. Presentation matters more than ever, so with increased buyer choice, homes that are well maintained, decluttered, professionally staged will stand out. Investing in minor repairs, fresh paint, professional photography can significantly impact buyer perception and then reduce your days on market. So putting the work in before you go on the market is one of the most important things, right? Touching up baseboards, painting rooms, changing out light fixtures, decluttering, taking, family photos off of the wall. Those are things that, I always say to my clients is I want to try and present your home as if it's the buyer's home, right? When your house is on the market, it's no longer your home. It's a tough thing to understand and kind of really come to grips with. And it's uncomfortable for a lot of people because it is your home. But we're trying to, as a seller, you're trying to make your home feel as if it's someone else's, and they can envision themselves in that home based on how it's presented, okay? And still solid buyer interest. So despite market adjustments, there remains strong buyer interest of homes in good condition and desirable locations. Focus on highlighting your property's unique selling points and target the right audience to capitalize on the sustained demand. So that's kind of the overview of July. So to kind of highlight, we've seen slight drop from price month over month. We saw an increase in sales year over year. Days on market are sitting around 25, and that's just, again, a slight increase from June. But buyer demand is there, right? The activity people are getting on listings, as long as it's presented well and priced correctly, it's still there. You're still getting showings. If you can get 7 to 8 showings a week, that's pretty good. And it's just a matter of time for you to get an offer. So buyers, you do have a lot of choice, right? There is more inventory coming out daily. Sellers, you need to do the work to get your home prepared for the market. Make sure you're priced competitively, and you will have a successful sale. If you don't, it's hurting the final sale price, okay? So that's kind of the highlight of July of 2025. If you're a buyer or a seller in Durham Region, and you have any questions, or you live outside of the Durham Region and you want more information on your specific market, feel free to reach out at any time. And thank you for watching, and I will talk to you soon.